Hello, everyone, and good morning. It's 10 o'clock here in Warsaw, which means it's time for world news. Overnight, Russia launched a wave of 502 drones and 24 missiles targeting Ukraine's energy grid. Explosions and air defense fire were heard in cities as far west as Lviv, only 80 kilometers from the Polish border. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, Russia deployed 502 Shahed-type attack and decoy drones, alongside 16 Caliber and 8 X-101 cruise missiles. Ukrainian air defenses intercepted 430 of the drones and 21 missiles, while the remaining strikes hit 14 locations. 5 people were wounded in the Kirovohrad region, where 28 buildings were also destroyed. The attacks primarily targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure across multiple regions. In the Chernihiv region alone, 30,000 households were left without power, while repair services are now working to restore services. The assault comes as Russia has once again intensified attacks on Ukraine, despite Moscow's claimed willingness to engage in peace talks. Russia is once again concentrating forces along parts of the front line, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said in his nighttime address. He also stressed that Russia's ongoing strikes will not go unanswered.
And now we see another buildup of Russian forces along certain sectors of the front. Putin refuses in any way to be forced into peace, and Moscow is pressing on with its strikes. Of course, we will respond to this, respond asymmetrically, in particular so that Russia clearly feels the consequences of its brazenness. And we continue to work with partners to increase pressure on Russia, and this will happen. Moscow listens to nothing but force and will continue lying until its losses are crushing enough.
While speaking to the Sat1 television channel, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz called Vladimir Putin a war criminal. Merz went on to say that Putin is the most serious war criminal of our time and that he should receive no leniency for the crimes that he's committed. The Chancellor added that so far the Russian president has no reason to seriously consider a ceasefire and that he should be pressured by the West with economic sanctions.
He, Putin, is a war criminal. He is perhaps the most serious war criminal of our time, the one we currently see on a large scale. And we simply need to be clear about how to deal with war criminals. Leniency has no place here. At the moment, he absolutely has no reason to approach a ceasefire or even a peace agreement. We must create that reason. Militarily, it will be difficult, but economically, it can be done. We must ensure that this country, Russia, is no longer capable of maintaining its war economy.
Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski says that the country is united in its support for Ukraine and against the warmongering of Russia's President Vladimir Putin. Sikorski spoke to the Kyiv Post while in the United States, where he met with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. His comments come ahead of a meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Polish President Karol Nawrocki. Warsaw's top diplomat said Poland's government and its president are united in their backing for Ukraine. U.S. President Donald Trump will welcome Polish President Karol Nawrocki back to the White House later on Wednesday. Trump previously hosted Nawrocki in May, backing him at a crucial moment in Poland's presidential election. The U.S. leader extended an official invitation days after Nawrocki was sworn in early last month. The talks are expected to center on stalled negotiations to end the war in Ukraine, Poland's security concerns, and energy issues. Military analysts say Nawrocki is expected to push for an increased U.S. commitment to Polish security. The Polish president is already in the United States, but is not being accompanied by any representatives from Poland's foreign ministry. Today, the European Commission will formally present the trade deal with Mercosur for approval by the European Parliament. This is not expected to be easy, said Adam Szłapka, spokesperson for the Polish government, who added that Poland will oppose the deal. Similar moves are expected to be made in France and Italy.
Under the deal, Mercosur would remove duties on 91% of EU exports, including cars, over a period of up to 10 years. Tariffs would also be lifted on EU agriculture-based products such as wine and spirits. For sensitive farm products like beef, the EU will introduce quotas, while Mercosur will give the EU a duty-free quota of 30,000 tonnes for cheeses. The deal also recognises 350 geographic indications to prevent traditional EU foodstuffs from imitation. Still, the deal is controversial. France has said it will only sign the free trade agreement if the interests of French and EU farmers are safeguarded. Similar opposition has been expressed by Poland and Italy, where over the past months, farmers engaged in major protests.
Flanked by Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un, Chinese President Xi Jinping kicked off the largest military parade in modern China on Wednesday. Speaking ahead of the parade, Xi said that China's rise was, quote, unstoppable, warning that the world must choose between peace and war, and that China's never intimidated by bullies.
The Victory Day parade in Beijing showcased equipment of the largest standing army in the world before the 50,000 people gathered at Tiananmen Square. The display included air defense lasers, stealth fighter jets, nuclear-capable bombers, new intercontinental ballistic missiles, and 2 new large undersea drones. Present at the parade were 26 foreign leaders, including Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who just days ago praised the growing friendship between India and China, chose not to attend the event.
Late on Tuesday evening, U.S. President Donald Trump urged Chinese President Xi Jinping to give his warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as they, quote, conspire against the United States. His Truth Social post came as China staged its largest Victory Day military parade in history.
The big question to be answered is whether or not President Xi of China will mention the massive amount of support and blood that the United States of America gave to China in order to help it secure its freedom from a very unfriendly foreign invader. Many Americans died for China's quest for victory and glory. I hope that they are rightfully honored and remembered for their bravery and sacrifice. May President Xi and the wonderful people of China have a great and lasting day of celebration. Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the United States of America.
Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico told Vladimir Putin on Tuesday that he will seek to normalize relations with Moscow. Fico's comments come as Slovakia moves to increase Russian gas imports through the Turk Stream pipeline.
I want to say openly at this meeting that we are extremely interested in a standardization of relationships between the Slovak Republic and the Russian Federation. I want to propose a meeting of a joint committee as soon as possible. Let's get back to what was typical of our two countries when it comes to economic cooperation. Let's look for areas where our two countries can most successfully cooperate.
While in China, Vladimir Putin said that Moscow is open to talks with the United States and Ukraine regarding the occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. At the same time, details of such potential cooperation still remain unclear.
Putin made the comments during his meeting with the Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico in Beijing. The Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, the largest one in Europe, has been under Russian control since 2022 and is currently not generating any power. Ukraine's foreign ministry quickly refuted Putin's claims, saying that the power plant is and will remain an integral part of Ukraine. Officials in Kyiv added that the only way to ensure its safety is through an immediate and complete withdrawal of Russian military from the plant. In turn, the Russian Foreign Ministry responded by claiming that the plant is now a Russian facility and cannot be transferred to Ukraine.
The Defense Expo in Kielce doubles as a venue for signing cooperation agreements and reaffirming ongoing partnerships in the realm of defense and security. That was also the case during the opening of the U.S. Pavilion at this year's edition. However, the Americans continue to call Poland model ally. The question of the United States' true presence here in the country still remains uncertain.
The Kyoto Military Expo is the place that stands out as the center stage of global defense diplomacy. This is where a majority of the contracts pertaining to the modernization efforts of the Polish armed forces have historically been signed. Poland currently has a huge pipeline of procurement projects underway, primarily with the US. This includes the F-35 fighter jets, as well as the Abrams tanks and Patriot air defense missiles batteries. Now, speaking during the opening of the expo today, the American Charge d'Affaires identified that Poland continues to stand out as a model ally for the US within the NATO alliance.
I had the honor of attending the contract signing for the modernization of Poland's F-16 fleet, which is worth roughly $4 billion, an investment that will help Poland bolster its defense industrial base. The agreement reflects the trust and transparency that is the hallmark of the US-Poland partnership. This program will enhance Poland's F-16 fleet with next-generation systems, extending their operational life and ensuring they remain interoperable with NATO allies.
However, although the US delegation may have underlined the proximity linking the two countries and the historical special relationship that these two have, one key issue remains, and that is, as the US readies for the global strategic global review to be finalized in the upcoming weeks, which defines the distribution of the military footprint of the US across the globe, the key question remains as to whether Poland might be affected by any troop relocation, something that also is all too worried about. For TVP World, Zuzanna Jurek.
Protesting students confronted police in Serbia after they were prevented from collecting their belongings at a university building in the city of Novi Sad. Civil unrest continues 10 months after a canopy collapse at the Novi Sad railway station, with protesters blaming government corruption as the main cause of the disaster.
A direct confrontation took place outside of a faculty building. Students were initially told they would be allowed in to collect their belongings, only for police to block the entrance. Earlier, authorities forcibly broke up a demonstration organized to commemorate the disaster that killed 16 people. Protesting students have been occupying university facilities across the country, demanding snap elections. The government has so far refused to give in to their demands, opting instead for repression.
Kilauea on Hawaii's Big Island erupted again late on Tuesday, spewing lava 100 meters into the air. It's the 32nd eruption of the volcano since December last year. So far, the lava has remained contained within the summit crater inside the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, just after midnight, lava emerged from the north vent in the Halemaumau crater, shooting fountains into the air. By mid-morning, Kilauea was also erupting from the crater's south and middle vents. The U.S. Geological Survey noted that the fountains are inclined, which greatly reduces ash and tephra reaching the atmosphere. At the same time, scientists noted that the high volcanic gas emissions may still impact local air quality on Hawaii's Big Island. And that's all the time we have here on World News, but stay with us because there's more to come here on TVP World.